Welcome to episode 1 of the Soulful Menopause podcast. I'm your host, Sally Love, and today's introduction covers the different stages of menopause, the chaos it brings, and how you can actually use that chaos for your own empowerment. Welcome to the Soulful Menopause podcast. Discover how to transform the chaos of menopause into vibrant health and a soulful life you'll love. I'm Sally Love, natural nutritionist and soul wisdom coach. I want you to experience a soulful menopause that'll guide you into the best years of your life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so thrilled that you've joined me for this first ever episode of the Soulful Menopause podcast. I'm Sally Love. I'm a British woman living in America. I live in Hood River, Oregon. I've been here for about 5.5 years now. At the time of recording this, which is March 2019, I am 51 years young. Now, I entered menopause last year and I have a history of estrogen dominance, which meant that I experienced very strong symptoms of perimenopause. And I'll be talking a lot about that in forthcoming episodes. But I experienced things like digestive issues. I had this awful skin condition actually for a while, this terrible rash on my back that was so painful and so itchy. I was literally in tears at one point with these ice packs on my back to try and take down this itchiness, and the doctors didn't even know what it was. They said, oh, well, it looks like shingles, it looks like psoriasis, it's a cross between the both maybe. They just didn't know. I also had some memory problems that came up for me, and oh my word, there was this one time when it was this defining moment for me of really reaching perimenopause. And this was when I was shopping. I was in a supermarket. I had my cart full of groceries and just about to go to the checkout to pay. And suddenly I realized, oh my word, I've forgotten my PIN number. And so I was thinking, okay, don't panic, because I knew that getting stressed about it would just make the situation worse. And I certainly wouldn't remember my PIN number under those circumstances. So I thought, well, I'll just have a walk around the shop and, just take my mind off it for a bit and it will pop into my mind. So I was looking at magazines and books and it still wasn't popping into my mind. Okay, let's walk over the other side of the store and la, 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 and it still wouldn't pop into my mind. And then I was, oh my word, this is awful. And I started getting a bit worried about it. I was thinking, crikey, am I getting Alzheimer's? Is this the first stages of Alzheimer's for me? And it was starting to really worry me at this point. I had no way of paying for my groceries, so I was phoning my husband to sort of get him to remind me what the PIN number was, and he wasn't answering because he was at work. And oh, it was awful. And so then I suddenly remembered, oh, hooray, that my bank is actually in that supermarket. So I was able to go to the bank and change my PIN number there. I felt really embarrassed because I was like, oh, I've forgotten my PIN number. But luckily the woman that served me didn't bat an eyelid about it, and she just changed my PIN number for me, and I was able to write it down and then go and pay for my groceries and go home. But I remember, the really scary time that was for me. And I'm going to talk a lot about that actually in some upcoming episodes, because I'm sure, well, maybe you've experienced something like that yourself already. It could just be forgetting simple names of things, or even names of people you've known for years and suddenly their name is poof, it's gone from your brain. Or just experiencing brain fog, not being able to think as clearly, finding it difficult to retain information. I also had some sleep issues at one point as well, another very common symptom of perimenopause and menopause. And I had restless legs at night. I mean, the list just went on and on and on. And all of that unraveled during the period of time that I was perimenopausal. So I think what I'm going to do now is just explain the 3 stages of menopause. We have perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. Now, perimenopause usually begins in our 40s, but it can actually begin a little bit earlier with some people. And perimenopause is the period of time that leads up to menopause. And it takes usually around 4 to 10 years to move from perimenopause to menopause. And perimenopause is the time of great chaos. And your first signs can be things such as irregular menstrual cycles. They could be long cycle 1 month and then a short cycle the next month, or they could be really heavy one time and then really light the next. And then suddenly maybe you're getting like 2 periods together and then the next month missing a period altogether. So it's that real sort of erratic, chaotic energy that goes on. Likewise, you can have these erratic, chaotic emotions and thoughts and feelings coming up. You can get headaches. Terrible tiredness can occur during perimenopause. The brain fog and those memory issues I've already talked about. Disruptive sleep patterns. And, there are so many different symptoms that can come up during perimenopause. And we will go into detail of these as we journey through this podcast together. Now, perimenopause then leads to menopause. So what is menopause? Well, menopause is that period in time when you have had 12 months without a period. So you never really know when your last period was until you've had those 12 months period free. Now, I believe that menopause is and should be treated as a beautiful rite of passage. And menopause is really very much overlooked, particularly in Western society. And it really saddens me because this is a time that should be celebrated. It's such a sacred time of our lives when we're moving into a whole new cycle of being. So I want to share some menopause celebrations with you. We can all celebrate together as we move through this podcast. But this is something that I feel very strongly about, that menopause is a sacred rite of passage. So it really is that moment in time when you suddenly realize that you've had 12 months without a period. And then after that, you move into post-menopause. And that is when your whole life starts moving in such a fabulous direction. It really is a great opportunity to step into a new, more confident, more free you. Now, up until recently, and actually, unfortunately, still now, there seems to be some sort of taboo around openly discussing menopause. And well, certainly for me, coming from a British culture where it's this stiff upper lip and everything should be all proper, certainly something like menopause shouldn't be discussed openly and certainly not in public. Oh, shush, hush, keep those things to yourself. We don't want to know about that. Thank you very much. And, menopause is suppressed and, let's pretend it doesn't exist. And there's a lot of women that end up feeling embarrassed and shameful about menopause, and almost like it's the beginning of a time when you're old and you're past it, and your sexuality goes out of the window and your attractiveness goes out of the window, and now you should just be really happy with withering away and being an old grandmother. And so I feel really strongly about changing this pattern, these very outmoded beliefs that are out there at the moment. And I really want to change that. So that's one of the reasons that I'm doing this podcast. It's such an important time to be empowered because there is so much disempowerment around at the moment connected with menopause. And, it's a scary time. It's a time when you can feel like you're losing control of your body. I mean, that's certainly how I felt during perimenopause. And that was a time when, even though I'm a nutritionist, that was a time when I hadn't specialized in menopause. And it was actually going through perimenopause myself and seeing that there wasn't any support or good information out there that made me decide to really move into specializing in this field. And allopathic medicine can actually be very disempowering sometimes. We've got used to this way of looking at healthcare as actually not being healthcare at all, but being sick care. I'm sure you've heard of that before. It's a very disempowering process in most cases, of course, unless you're seeing a holistic practitioner, where you go to a doctor and you say to them, well, you tell me what's wrong with me and you put it right, and I'm just going to sit here and do nothing about it. I'm handing you my body. And unfortunately, in allopathic medicine, most of the time, they're only really looking at the symptoms and suppressing the symptoms. So, for example, you could go to your doctor and say, oh, I'm feeling very anxious at the moment. Or maybe you're talking about depression or hormonal disruption. So what the doctor does was go, okay, well, here is some anti-anxiety medication. Here's some antidepressants, and here's some HRT to deal with your erratic hormones. And none of those things are actually bringing your body into balance. All of those things are actually just covering up the symptoms. They're suppressing them. They're not actually dealing with the root cause of why you've got that anxiety, why you've got that depression, and why your hormones are erratic. And, well, by the way, during menopause, your hormones are erratic, and it's normal. It's a normal thing for menopause. Menopause isn't a disease. And yes, you may well have several uncomfortable symptoms of menopause, but once you start finding out why and what's going on in your own body because of your unique story, your unique history of how you've got to where you are today, it's only then that you can start to feel empowered and you can start to really get that balance back naturally without using any toxic drugs that, by the way, usually cause loads of more health issues, and you have to have more toxic drugs to deal with the side effects of the toxic drugs you're taking. But anyway, we'll go into more of that in another episode. And, I don't want to dismiss drugs at all, because they're certainly, in some circumstances, they can be life-saving. It's just knowing when and how to use them if necessary. And like I said before, menopause isn't a disease. It is normal to have erratic hormones at this point in time. And these erratic shifts that are going on in your body at this time, this chaos, actually stirs things up within you. It initiates this beautiful rite of passage into a new cycle of life. It's a time of massive change. Now, chaos is a natural part of change. Just think back through your life. When have you had big changes in your life? And when you have had those big changes, you will most definitely see that there's been chaos there. And that chaos comes up to get you to think differently, act differently, see things from a different perspective. It's actually, a catalyst for change. So menopause actually awakens you. I like to think of the hot flushes as fanning the flames in your body, mind and soul for change. And then if you go and just suppress it and pretend it doesn't exist, ignore it and decide that you're not going to think much about it, you're just going to get on with your life, or maybe you're too busy to think about yourself and your health and your body, then I feel that you're losing a precious opportunity to awaken your whole life. There's such a huge power in menopause, and this power shows up in many different ways. Now, I don't know if you've experienced a full-blown hot flush yet, but if you have, you will definitely know what I'm talking about when I say how powerful it is. Wow, it rises up in you. I teach women how to use this power to their advantage, how to embrace menopause and step into the incredible wisdom it has to share with us. If we can move away from the fear or the frustration that comes up when we feel like our bodies are letting us down, and we actually get to understand why, and then really support the body with a lot of compassion and love and nurturing, oh my word, it just turns the whole thing right around. So menopause provides us with this amazing opportunity to change our lives, to step into a more free and fulfilling way of being, to shift old patterns of health, shift old patterns within your relationships, shift the whole way that you do life, the whole way you see your life. And this is why, very understandably, we can see a huge amount of divorces that happen in this time in life, loads of relationship changes. It's a strong calling from the soul to awaken you into a more soulful way of doing life, something that is more being led by your soul's purpose. So Soulful Menopause is about feeling empowered, seeing menopause in a different light, seeing that this chaos brings us an opportunity for growth, embracing all of the change that happens at this time on every level, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And when you can be fully present with all of these together, when you're sitting with a lot of that beautiful, powerful wisdom, it's then, wow, what are you going to do with that? Let's set that out into the universe. Let's just really step into our authentic selves, ourselves that are just fully aligned with our soul's wisdom and our soul's purpose. So in this podcast, I am so looking forward to going into depth with you with all aspects of menopause, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So there's information out there on the physical side of things, but like I said, a lot of it is very disempowering, and it's certainly not really connected that much with the emotional, mental, and particularly the spiritual. Now, I will say here that because menopause is such a powerful time, there's all this chaos going on, I feel that it is so important to nurture. Nurture yourself during this time. Gently guide your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual selves into a new way of being. Your body is going through a tremendous amount of stress during menopause, and usually for at least 10 years. And so it really needs this energy of compassion, this energy of nurturing, of healing. And this is all feminine energy. Now, in our younger times of lives, we're really operating a lot on a masculine energy of push, hard work, force, aggressiveness, getting things done. You know, if you've been a mother, I haven't had the privilege of being a mother, only to a few dogs. But if you are a mother, wow, I mean, you're using up so much masculine energy there because, well, first of all, you are using the feminine energy and nurturing your children, but wow, most of you have probably been going to work and being a mother at the same time, and then all of these other things that need to be happening at the same time, you know, holding the whole household and your lives together. That needs this masculine energy of push, 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 right, what's the next thing on the to-do list? Check, 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 you know? It keeps you going. So those younger years are about striving to achieve, to prove yourself, moving on, moving up to the next thing, whilst you're also thinking about 10 other things at the same time, minimum. Now, it's a fun time. Those times can be fun, but it could certainly burn you out if you continue with that pattern into menopause. So when we step into menopause, we're stepping into a far more feminine energy of receiving, of nurturing, of creativity, of listening to our deeper selves, listening to our soul. It's an important time to just move into more of a gentle flow instead of the push, push, push up the ladder. So when you know how to sit in love and compassion during this transition time, you'll automatically see some of your symptoms of menopause, particularly perimenopause, subside as your body just relaxes and lets go of the stress and the anxiety. Your body then is in a much more receptive place for healing and for flow and for that feminine energy to fill your entire being. So living a soulful menopause is about honoring this powerful rite of passage. It's an opportunity of growth physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. It's about stepping into a new way of being, a more soulful life that honors your beautiful soul, following your soul's path, your truth. It's a time when you're gathering the stories from your past and you're just bringing forward the wisdom. You're free to be yourself, free to do what you want. It's a powerful opportunity to make big changes in your life, to step into that full, beautiful feminine power. During this podcast, we'll explore this in so much depth so that you can find your beautiful meaning of what it means for you to step into a soulful menopause. Now, I have an idea of keeping these podcasts short, but please let me know how they go for you. This is your show. I want to hear from you. I'd love to hear your comments on what's being discussed. Perhaps today, maybe you want to share whether you can now start to see the chaos of the menopause you're going through at the moment in a different way. And what would it mean for you to live a soulful menopause? I would love to hear that. So please do let me know by leaving your comments in the reviews section. So there's just one thing I want you to do now, and that's to subscribe to this podcast so that you don't miss any episodes. And also it can act as a beautiful reminder to help you keep living a soulful menopause. A great reminder to keep your mindset in this new direction, to bring you back from that chaos that you may feel and get caught up into during the week, and bring you back into that balance, bring you back into that listening to your soul, listening to yourself physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm sending you so much love, and I really look forward to connecting with you for the next Soulful Menopause podcast. To find out more about how you can live a soulful menopause, please visit soulfulmenopause.com. I'm really looking forward to being with you again soon. Bye for now.